So here is the new Capto precision putting technology product based out of Italy. And this product is a putting sensor, a small little black sensor Wi-Fi connected device which attaches to the back side of the putter as shown in the picture that I put on the side. And what this does is it is able to measure the stroke dynamics of the putter during the stroke, from where the player applies the speed and the direction of the putter and the face angle and all the things that are required to actually make a putt. So they've got 20 parameters that they're showing. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly because I'm going to have a fair amount of updated videos for this based on certain things of the system. So here we go. Here's the home screen. I've connected the device already. We're seeing we're running at 300 hertz, which is up here. It is capable of running at 400. I will go to the profile screen next, which is myself. So I've chosen myself based out of this and added the information required in here to start the process. Within that, I have my putter selection. Most of us have more than one putter. So I've got my putter set up here. It's a brand new one today at the Scotty Cameron Laguna. I've measured it in terms of its length, where the sensor is 45 centimeters up from the heel. It does not have any offset. The loft is 2 degrees. The lie is 70. It is a blade putter. So I'm going to go through the calibration process. Right now the putter is lying on a flat surface with the blade of the putter 90 degrees to that flat surface straight up to the sky, as seen in the picture. So I'm going to calibrate and we can see that it's leveling it out. And 5 seconds later we're done. Just like that, it's saved, and once the putter is saved, you don't have to recalibrate it again. Put the sensor back on. It should be pretty good because it measures up toward the sky. So here is what we've got. This is the main screen in Capto. We've got 20 different parameters, from face angle and shaft angle, which is basically the loft, the lie angle, all the relationships of those, and then the look of the 3D putter. We've got the face rotation, the shaft rotation, the lie rotation, how all of these are affected during the stroke. We've got the path of the stroke. We've got the rise, or the angle of attack as it's commonly referred to. We've got the face to path relationship, the loft to arc relationship, and we've got the acceleration patterns. Within that, we've got the putter's launch, a really cool thing called energy, which I'm going to go through, the handling, which is kind of your hand effect, the trembling, which is when you give it a little bit more energy or boost than normal, and then a tempo section. So I've got it all set up right here. My putter's calibrated. I'm going to go ahead and roll one so we can see the difference in some of these data points. Okay, so take a look at this stroke right here. We've got a face angle of 1.7 open, which makes sense because I missed the putt a little bit to the right. We've got, within this, we can see that my club face is actually a little more open than the ideal, which would be the green. And right here at the inversion point, or the transition point, my putter actually stays open through transition rather than starting to come back down. So I have a bit of a, what do we call, a faster rate of rotation, a higher rate of rotation into the impact point. So with that stroke right there, I can work on trying to keep my face a little bit less open. The next section is going to be the shaft angle, which is basically the loft of the putter. And we can see here through the dynamic motion that I keep the loft of the putter fairly, well, call it good. I had a good amount of loft on the putter through the transition or inversion point. However, I might have had not enough loft up until the golf ball, and after the golf ball I had too much loft. So that's just something to think about to get your mind wrapped around the loft of the putter through the stroke. We've got the lie angle, and if the lie angle is fit fairly well and your posture is pretty good in addressing the golf ball, we're going to have a fairly straight line there. And we can see that mine dipped a little bit, but otherwise it was fairly straight. We can see through these that the actual graph changes slightly. This one here is 0 to 30 so that we can see a bigger representation. But over here, we've got 0 to 10. So it's a little bit smaller, so the line appears to be a little bit bigger than normal, but that would be still about 1, and we're looking at 0.1. So it's not very far off. When we start looking at all the angles as a representative whole, we can see that the lie and the loft and how the relationships are all the way through the transition point into impact and then beyond impact. It's some really cool information that can give some golf teachers and some researchers some different ways to look at it. And then we've got the 3D motion of the putter. I think the 3D motion of the putter is really cool in the putting stroke. And we can see here that when I take the putter back, I take it back a little bit to the outside. I come back in all the way through to my low point, which is that pink dot right there, striking up on the putter and sending the blade through the ball. And we can change the view of this a little bit so you can see from different angles how it looks and how it's represented here, just to give you a different idea and a different concept in your mind on how it's actually working for you. So if we start looking at the rotations, these are just the positions kind of into the ball from maybe a 2D perspective. Well, here's another different perspective where the face rotation, where the face actually rotates a little bit open, comes back to 0 somewhere around your inversion point, and then comes through into impact. We have a little bit of I don't know, interference or whatever the word may be after impact when the ball is struck. But we can see here that, you know, that's the rotation of my club face as I rolled that last putt. Shaft rotation itself, that's more of the loft, and we can see how the loft is affected through my stroke, through the ball. We've got the lie rotation, which again should be a fairly straight line. The rotations, all three put together, give you another example or another image in your mind to see how it's all working together. And then the last, we have the speeds, how fast things go. So we can see that my putting stroke increased its speed into the ball, or into the low point, but from low point up until impact, we can see that I continually increased my speed. So speed's going to be different from acceleration. We'll show you that later on. Stroke path itself, the stroke path of my putt came back a little bit on the outside, but from inversion point or transition all the way into the ball, the stroke path itself was fairly good, was fairly consistent. We can see that there's a blue line slightly, a vector showing the face angle relative to that path, relative to my target line as well, and we can see that that's fairly square and fairly straight. I can increase the amount of face lines, or I can reduce the amount of face lines if I find that just a little bit too messy or a little bit too busy. I can bring it back down to something smaller. I can take off the ideal path, I can stop showing the face vector, I can actually even stop showing all those lines. And to give you the view that you want to see of how your putter works its way through the ball. I think that's a pretty cool factor right there shown on this software. When we look at this, we've got the launch angle. So the launch angle of the putter, given the dynamic, given the loft you plugged in at the beginning, we've got how much loft I delivered into the ball. The arc through impact was 3 degrees up. So you add those two in a certain math equation, and all of a sudden we've got the launch height of plus 2 degrees up. Just showing us that the putter launched the ball slightly on an upward launch angle. This one's really cool. This one is called energy balance. And an energy balance, total energy balance, is a combination of 3 different things where we're trying to get somewhere in the vicinity of, you know, minus 7% energy is not too bad. That's actually pretty good. And if we can get less than that towards 0, upwards of in the positive number, that's really, really solid. So if we take a look at the first one, this is the loft to arc roll. What this is basically saying is that, you know, how much loft are you delivering into the ball, and what type of upward or downward trajectory does the putter face have to provide either a forward roll of the ball or a reverse roll of the ball, an under roll, so backspin or forward spin. And on this one here, top spin added energy of 2.7%. That's a pretty solid number. The next one is more of the face to path relationship. The face to path from my putt that I hit, I had a face through impact of 0.1, the face angle was 1.7 open, so therefore I had a variance of 1.6, which is just high enough to have a cut stroke pattern and reduced my energy by 2.7%. So I can improve my energy through the ball, call it maybe smash factor through the ball, by improving my face to path relationship. And because I hit that putt slightly on the heel and I delivered the toe of the putt first, I had torque dissipated energy of 2.4%, which isn't very high. I've seen a much higher number than that. But all this is saying is that if you don't hit the sweet spot of the putter, somewhat behind the center of mass of the putter, or you don't deliver the blade straight, which influences, you know, an off-center hit, we're going to have an energy loss. And that's going to reduce the speed the ball has, and potentially, in this case, it could send the ball offline. We've got a handling factor, which is basically how the hands work in the putting stroke. We have a severity factor of 0%, meaning that, you know, my handling was pretty good. Both of those showed up green. That was pretty solid. So we have the face, the path, or the loft, and the lie, all represented in that 3D graph again, and it's shown by little dots, whether they're yellow dots or red dots. And what those are areas of different pressure perhaps into the putter, into the grip, or torques or twitches as we could call them right now. That's kind of what we've got, or brakes or gas pedals that are uncommon to the rest of the pattern of the stroke. We've got a trembling factor, which is kind of, again, a bit of a twitch of the hands of when the putter gets a little bit more energy than could be, used in a fluid way, if I could say that. So we had a little bit of a yellow dot early in the stroke. Through inversion, pretty good, but into impact, we can see that the stroke itself had a little bit of hand manipulation. It wasn't a consistent flow through the stroke, and we can see these red dots all the way up. Now those are irrelevant of the face angle that you delivered, but it's going to show some inconsistent face angles if those red and yellow dots continue into the ball. Within trembling, we've got different things that we can look at, from the magnitude of the trembling to the stroke path itself, kind of, maybe when it happened, and then the stroke height. Some different things that we're going to start looking at through some advanced or some different videos to this. And then the final one, which is the tempo, which is here at the end. We can see I had 2 green dots, meaning I was pretty close to the ideal beats per minute of the stroke. I was 51, 53 was the ideal, and we're trying to get a 2 relationship, meaning that we're trying to look for a relationship that the backswing is kind of half of transition through impact. So we're trying to find the optimal flow and sequence tempo, the tick-tock of the stroke, trying to match up to an ideal tempo, which again helps the speeds, but it also helps your acceleration profile, and both of those have a big effect on your path, your loft, your rise angle or your arc angle here, and your club face at impact. So we can see here, as this putter goes through, we can see the rhythm or the tempo or the beat of the stroke at 51 beats a minute, which is what I delivered. So those are some cool things with the new Capto putting. I'm going to bring out some more videos coming soon with some other factors of this, such as some of their aim tutorials, some tutorials in terms of what the dynamics of the putter actually are, what they're calculating, what they're measuring, and some other things in terms of, making it simple for the player, showing just 4 data boxes, or perhaps, where you are at impact or at setup. Where the putter face is angled, where it's set up at your setup, to show you where you're actually aiming. So we're going to go through a couple more things and get deeper into some of these really cool factors, like the acceleration page and the different acceleration profiles, as well as the speeds and the 3D motion and the angles. So we're going to go through this a little bit deeper, but for now, there's an introduction video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you out.